I'm Case. I built one of the highest rated meal prep businesses in the country, starting with no money experience or connections. I made every mistake, figured it out. Now I give you the playbook so you can skip the painful parts. Meal prep software, business automation systems, private groups, an AI clone in my brain. You can pick 24/7, one-on-one consulting, free resources, courses, and more. Everything you need is at mealprepis101.com. Links in the show notes. Now let's get into it.
What's going on, eaters and feeders? Welcome to the Event Rockstar Series, where I teach you how to shine like the rock star you are at events, demos, lunch and learns, parties, and shindigs that your meal prep business attends so you can maximize your impact and your profit with the least amount of effort. In this episode, we are going to be discussing food, particularly the do's and don'ts for event food. Now, when you're planning the event, one of the most important things to be considering is what you are going to be serving. Now, depending upon what niche you're in, that might limit your options, but I'm going to be covering some general ideas so you at least know, especially the stuff to avoid, so that you don't have more headache and mistakes happening than necessary. Now, none of these are in any particular order, but I will start off with something that I think is important to have in mind, and none of this stuff has to be followed like the law, but these suggestions are definitely built from a lot of experience, and while we don't always follow them, ideally, these are things that we would like to have in place. And I'm going to start off by telling you to try to avoid, if at all possible, food that needs to be served hot or cold. If it can be served at room temperature, if it's safe at room temperature, you are already set off to have a much easier experience. Why? Well, the simple fact is you need less stuff there. The less stuff that you need, the less stuff that can go wrong. If you need to have the food heated or cold, now we're talking ice packs, we're talking Schaefers and Sternos, and there could just be a bunch of headaches involved with all of that. Either that stuff not showing up, or it not lasting as long as you need it to, it going missing, something going wrong, you not having a lighter, whatever the situation is, if you do not have to serve hot food or cold food, I would avoid it. Baked goods are normally fine, and they're a lot easier for you to deal with, which means you can focus more on making the event a success and not worrying about all these other variables. Going a little bit deeper into that, avoiding Sternos and Schaefers is particularly something you're going to want to do. Why? Because as I mentioned before, lighter might not be working. You might have packed the Sterno, but you don't have enough Sterno. Maybe you forgot to pack the Sterno. Oh, and then also the Schaefers are going to need water. And as I explained in the last video, you're going to need to find resources for that water. Sometimes those Schaefer pans don't fit in the sinks, and it just becomes a whole ordeal that you could just avoid by not serving food that has to be warm when you served it. Also, based on the insurance or some of the rules of that location, you might not be able to have open flames. Now, if you are hell-bent on serving hot food and you want to be using the Sternos, you're going to want to make sure that you reach out to that point of contact and make sure that they allow for open flames to be there. Explain to them what it is so they don't think that you're going to be doing these crazy Benihana fireballs or anything. But there are still, even with those small cans of Sterno, they can be dangerous. It could be a no-no for their insurance policies or their rules and regulation, because in theory that stuff is basically like napalm, and if you spill it, it could get on tablecloths and people and all sorts of other stuff and be all sorts of insurance headaches and liability issues. So they might not allow that. You do not want to be setting up and have someone walk by and say, no, you got to put those out. Now you've got food that is getting cold and you need to hurry up and serve it because you're not going to be able to keep it in the correct temperature zone that it needs to be served in, right? And going along with that, don't feel obligated to be serving entree type dishes. There are some events, normally when we're getting paid to do catering, where we'll make sure that we have main portions and some sides and all that other stuff, and people are able to get a full meal. But don't feel like you're expected to do that. These are really, you should look at it as bait. You're just trying to get someone in close enough to your table to get their contact information and tell them a bit about your company. You're not trying to feed people. You're trying to give them a sample. And it doesn't have to be a sample of everything on your menu. It doesn't have to be a sample of any particular thing on your menu. So if you can make it easier, make it something that is appealing, maybe some kind of an example of what you do, that's all you need to be concerned with. Think about fishing. You're not putting a whole meal on that fishing line for that fish, right? No, you're just giving them a little bit, just enough to get that hook in, and then you get to reel them in, convert them over to a deal. You're going to want to use some stuff that is easy to portion. We've got killer lasagna, and we've made the mistake of using the lasagna, and it gets great reviews, but it isn't about serving the best food. It's hard to do small portions of lasagna. It becomes a mess, and it's an unnecessary headache. You have to cut it up into the right portions. If the portions aren't the right size, you run out of it too quickly. All sorts of headaches arise from stuff like that. So if you're able to have stuff that is easier for you to portion and easier for you to hand out without making a mess, without extra utensils and knives and all this other stuff going on, it just simplifies the entire experience for everybody. You don't want anything that you or they have to cut into in order to portion it. You want something that ideally is already in some type of portion, or it's something that's easy enough for them to serve themselves, because you don't want to be worried about dishing out food and answering questions at the same time. Put the serving utensils and the ability to serve on them. Let them grab what they want to grab. You can answer questions as you go. Multitasking is just going to be bad news bears. You're going to be spreading your bandwidth, and you are not going to be as effective with your communication, and that's really more important. Them getting food is not your obligation. Remember, them getting food is not your main objective. That is just the bait to get them in. Once they're in, let them figure out their own food. I always suggest let them serve themselves. That way, if they spill it or anything else and it gets on them, it's their fault. You are there to have conversations, to tell them a little bit of information, and most importantly, convert them over to giving you their information so you can follow up and contact them and convert them over to your business. Avoid things that need to be put into cups or pre-plated on those little dishes. It's just a waste of time, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of space, and it's a waste of material. Even if you have extra bodies helping you at the event, their objective should be engaging with the people walking up, not turning around and having to pre-plate the next tray of food and dealing with all that other stuff. It's just something you want to avoid. Sometimes it looks pretty, but I assure you, it's just another headache that you don't want to deal with, especially when you're trying to do this stuff on site in front of people that you're supposed to be conversing with. All of your attention, the most amount of attention, should be focused on selling, on schmoozing, on answering questions, on prospecting, and on converting. Avoid stuff that spills, avoid stuff that stains. Now, you're going to think sauces and things like that. I mentioned the lasagna before, and that's its own headaches. Sauces and dressings and anything liquidy, obviously, it could be a huge potential for mess. But people don't even think about some of the stuff that might be dry and can also spill and make a mess. For example, we had a bunch of little quinoa and cucumber salad cups, and when that tray got knocked over and we have a bunch of little pieces of quinoa and cucumber bouncing all over the place, it's a pain in the butt. It got into the carpet, and we don't show up with our Dysons or anything, so it was just an unsightly little mess in front of our table. Doesn't make the entire aesthetics of the scene look really hot. I guess it was better than having some sauces spilled everywhere, but still not going to be ideal, and it's something that's easily avoidable. If you got little brownies or something like that, it's much easier to pick up a handful of brownies as opposed to a handful of quinoa that's now getting embedded in the fibers of the highly trafficked carpet. Some items that we have that always go over very well are our protein balls or our energy balls. And one of our most simple recipes, and we make a bunch of different iterations of these and a bunch of different flavors and ingredients and everything else, but one of the most simple forms of it is basically some peanut butter, some nutmeg, it's got some oats, some chia seeds, and some caribou chocolate, and we do a vegan version where we get all that stuff in vegan. It's protein, I think some nutmeg, some honey, a few different versions of these. We do energy balls, and there's a bunch of different versions and a bunch of different types of ingredients, but these do pretty well. But off the top of my head, the ingredients are peanut butter, nutmeg, honey, oats, chia seed, and you can get chocolate. You can do caribou chocolate, vegan kind of ingredients if you want to make it vegan, and then that would make it vegan, gluten-free, super delicious. Kids like it, adults like it, and while it isn't food, it is something that if you have it on your menu, it's a good idea. Now, as far as the things that you want to sample, you got to think about something that's not only easy and fits all these parameters, but it's also going to be as appealing as possible to the most amount of people. I'll give you a free one. One of the silver bullets that we use is our peanut butter chia seed balls. Now these are protein balls or energy balls, whatever you want to call them, and we have a bunch of different styles of flavors and stuff, but the ball itself is great because it's something that just a little finger food. It's just one little thing. You get a napkin, pick up a ball. You might want to get one of the little paper Reese's cup kind of things and put them in that at most, so it's kind of killing two birds with one stone, but even that is a bit of a pain. A lot of times it's easy enough to just have some tongs, they scoop the ball, they put it in a napkin, and they're good to go. Now they're not great for conversations, so when they're eating, that's a great time for you to tell them about your company. But the peanut butter chia seed balls that we actually do them vegan, you can do a couple of different variations. Like I said, we have some that don't have peanut butter in them at all. We've got a s'mores one, we've got key lime pie, we've got vanilla raspberry, we've got a blueberry one, we've got an oatmeal raisin one, all sorts. You look these little energy balls up, but the peanut butter one is one of the first ones we used. We still use it to this day because it's one of the highest sellers and everybody loves it. What's in it? Peanut butter, obviously. It's got some nutmeg, some oats, some honey, chia seeds, and you could throw chocolate in there. You could do caribou chocolate, make the whole thing vegan. Then it's vegan, it's gluten-free. Aside from people who have peanut allergies, everybody loves it. From kids to adults, everybody loves it, and it's a nice little conversation starter, and especially when you're able to tell them that it's vegan, it's gluten-free, it's all organic, they're clean ingredients. Oh wow, I didn't know healthy food could taste this good. Well, of course, it's all yummy stuff that's in it. And it's a great example of some of the other items that we have on our menu because we believe that healthy should be convenient and delicious. You get into that kind of spiel. And again, it fits all of these things. You can leave these things in your drawer for weeks because they're raw, so they don't need to be cooled or heated to enjoy them. It's easy to serve them. People can serve themselves. They've got a wide appeal. If you dump them, they're easy to pick up. It fits all of the parameters that I've discussed. And there's other things. There's going to be some stuff on your menu that's so delicious and makes such a great impression that you're probably going to feel that maybe it doesn't fit all of the things that I've told you to avoid, but it's still going to be worthwhile bringing. Go for it. Like I said, I'm not telling you to follow each and every one of these, but if you follow each and every one of these, the event is going to be much easier, I assure you. Now, while we're discussing food, I also strongly suggest that you bring sample meals because it's one thing to talk about these things and have pictures of them, but if you actually had the meals there and you can show them a variety of the meals, they get an idea of what it's going to look like. People eat with their eyes first, so they'll get an idea of the portion size, of the quality of the ingredients. While they can't sample them right there, it's nice to have that visual. Then you can also show them, one of the things I show them is how we have the foresight to put the labels on the side. So when it's stacked in your fridge, this is what you're seeing. You're able to see everything that's in it, the name of the item, the ingredients, the macros, the expiration date or contact information, everything's there. Make it as familiar as possible so that they can already visualize that in their refrigerator, making their lives easier and their weeks more productive. So what you might want to do from here is make a list of the high selling items that you have or the items that get the best feedback. And then from that list, see how they pass through my tests, see how they get through all of these little filters and rules that I have, and try to isolate which ones are going to be best. Now, ideally, when you go to a demo, you're not just going to be serving one type of item. So that way, if you do bring the peanut butter balls and you have somebody who has a peanut allergy, maybe you brought the oatmeal and blueberry ones as well, or maybe you brought one of the keto chocolate turtle fat bombs or something like that. It doesn't all have to be sweets, but who doesn't like sweets, right? And I will say that the peanut butter and the oatmeal power balls do well because they're sweet enough without being overwhelmingly sweet. If you have some stuff that's an obvious dessert, it's not going to be so appealing to some people because they're going to feel like, oh, that's kind of junk foody, it's too sweet or whatever else, and they're going to be reluctant to try it. But if you have something that's kind of right down the middle of the road where it feels like it's healthy enough, but it's also something that's tasty enough, and you get that right mix of people where you can, again, appeal from the kid to the mom. When mom sees Junior devouring something that she sees as being the healthiest thing that he's had, and wow, he'll eat this instead of Snickers and he'll do it with a smile on his face. This is great. I need more of whatever you guys are making. That stuff is super effective. A lot of it's going to be trial and error. Maybe some of the stuff that works in our area for the demographics that we approach won't work for you, but if you stick to the rules that I have here and you see the logic behind these rules, I think you're going to be able to assure that you have less time and energy wasted worrying about the food, and you could focus more on high quality conversations with the potential customers with whom you are engaging. Hopefully that got some wheels turning and some juices flowing. Join me in the next episode where we are going to be diving into your setup at the event.